Heartwarming reunion. Mother celebrates shocking 3-year secret romance of son and his hidden love. The sun was setting over the tree-lined streets of Maplewood, casting a warm golden glow. But inside Lucy's heart, the world felt like it was tilting off its axis. The simple note from Jake had ignited both pride and confusion. "Mom, I need to tell you something." What could it be? A scholarship? A grand plan for the future? Lucy's heart raced as she imagined her son stepping across that stage at graduation, ready to embrace life and chase his dreams. But when she learned the truth that Jake was in a secret relationship with Echo, a girl who lived in a trailer, and whose family struggled just to keep food on the table, her pride was quickly overshadowed by disbelief. How could Jake, with all his potential, tie himself to someone from the other side of the tracks? Gossip swirled around Maplewood like autumn leaves caught in the wind. It felt suffocating, pulling at her heart like a vice. Memories of her own youthful choices flashed in her mind. Had she done enough to shield him from life's harsh realities? The days crawled closer to graduation, the air thick with tension. Every time Jake left the house, Lucy felt a knot tightening in her chest. She thought about the lessons she had tried to impart, about working hard and striving for a better life. Each failed. Heart to heart with Jake left both of them with feelings of anger and hurt. Words that were supposed to bridge understanding had turned to walls of frustration. At the annual Maplewood Community Festival, with laughter and music filling the air, the turning point arrived. The scent of food trucks lingered like a sweet memory, but the buzz around the festival quieted when a classmate of Jake's collapsed, clutching his chest. Lucy watched wide-eyed as Echo sprang into action, knelt beside him, and started administering first aid with steady hands and a calm demeanor that belied her own struggles. Lucy couldn't help but admire the girl who had once seemed just a reflection of disparity, now glowing with courage. Just then, a flicker of realization hit her. Echo was more than the girl from the wrong side of town. This was a young woman who had acted with compassion, a manifestation of the values Lucy had hoped to instill in her own son. Was it possible that Echo's difficult upbringing shaped her into someone Jake could learn from? Her heart began to churn with conflicting emotions, hope mingled with apprehension. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Lucy grappled with these new feelings, a text buzzed on her phone. The message was from Jake. "Mom, we need to talk." Her stomach dropped. This wasn't just a battle of loyalty. It was a heartbreaking crossroads where love, fear, and hope collided. She had fought so hard to give him a brighter future. Did she have the strength to accept the love he found, even if it looked different than what she imagined? The struggle of family loyalty weighed on her heart, and with emotions reaching a boiling point, she stood at the threshold of a choice that could change everything. What would she decide? Would she cling to her fears, or trust in the love that could redefine their family? The sun lingered low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, while Lucy stood frozen at the doorway, her phone clutched tightly in hand. Jake's message lingered in her mind like a persistent echo. Every nerve in her body was pulled taut, ready for whatever was to come next. She felt her heart race, the decision looming larger than life itself. It took a moment to gather herself, but she stepped outside, the warm air wrapping around her like a familiar embrace. Her feet moved on instinct, leading her to the backyard where Jake often found solace. She spotted him leaning against the old oak tree, his eyes fixed on the ground, deep in thought. The sight ignited a rush of emotions: love, fear, and the ever-present anxiety of a mother unsure of her son's choices. "Hey," she said softly, trying to gauge his mood. Jake looked up, his expression torn between relief and apprehension. "Mom, I didn't think you'd come." She crossed the distance between them, her heart pounding. "Of course I came. You wanted to talk." The moment hung in the air, heavy, as Lucy searched his face for clues about what was bubbling beneath the surface. Jake rubbed the back of his neck, a telltale sign of nervousness. "I know this has been hard for us," he started, his voice wavering, "and I get why you're worried. But Mom, I need you to understand something. Lucy braced herself, mentally preparing for what could be a difficult conversation. I care about you, Jake. I just worry about the path you're taking. You're about to graduate, there are opportunities everywhere. I know, he replied, frustration creeping into his voice. But you're not hearing me. It's not just about me and Echo living in different worlds. It's about love. What we have is real. She's real. The lump in Lucy's throat swelled. She had spent countless nights wondering if her fears had blinded her to the truth. Jake, I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't understand everything yet. Jake stepped closer, searching her eyes like he was looking for a hidden sign of acceptance. You don't have to understand everything. Just see her for who she is. She's brave, and she's been there for me in ways I can't even explain. And you taught me how to chase what matters. Her heart softened, and she felt warmth spread through her veins. The more she listened to Jake's conviction, the more she realized his relationship with Echo wasn't just a rebellion. It was a reflection of his character. So what happens next, Jake? Can you try? Just a little? His voice cracked as he pleaded with her, the vulnerability exposing his raw emotions. I want you to meet her. I want you both to see the best in each other. Lucy felt the walls she had built around her heart begin to crumble. There was fear, yes, but underneath she felt something deeper, a yearning for connection and understanding. Okay, she finally said. Her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. I'll meet her. But you have to promise me that we'll talk about everything. No more secrets. A flash of relief washed over Jake's face. And in that moment, Lucy realized they were no longer just mother and son, but also two people learning to navigate the complexities of love and acceptance together. Thank you, Mom, he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Yet just as they began to build a bridge toward understanding, the distant sound of laughter and music from the festival reminded Lucy that life in Maplewood continued, filled with the clamor of hopes and dreams. As they stood together, a persistent thought nagged at her. Had she truly taken the first step toward acceptance? Or had she just opened a door she wasn't ready to walk through? Her heart raced with both excitement and fear of what this new chapter would entail. Would Echo meet her expectations? Or would Lucy find herself faced with even harder truths? The sun dipped further into the horizon, and Lucy knew there was still much to unravel ahead. Little did she know, the next test of their bond would come sooner than she expected, shaking her resolve once more. What other secrets lay buried in Echo's past, and how would they impact Jake's future? The night air wrapped around Lucy like a cool blanket, thick with anticipation. As the last rays of sunlight disappeared, the festival lights blinked to life, casting a warm glow over Maplewood. With Jake still beside her, a knot twisted in her stomach. Would meeting Echo be a delight or a disaster? She wanted to hope, to trust in Jake's words, but caution reigned in her heart. Are you sure she'll be okay with this? Lucy asked, her voice barely above a whisper, eyes darting toward the twinkling lights in the distance. I mean, what if she doesn't want to meet me? Jake shrugged but smiled gently. She's excited, Mom. Promise. Just be yourself. You'll see. In that moment, Lucy's chest tightened. The image of Echo still felt foreign, a mystery wrapped in uncertainty. She had no real idea of who this girl was, only that Jake had fallen for her. I really want to do this right, Jake. I need you to help me navigate it. I will. Trust me. He reached out and squeezed her hand. Just that simple touch soothed some of her fears. It was a lifeline, a reminder that no matter how strange things got, they were in this together. As they walked toward the festival, the sounds of laughter grew louder. The air was fragrant with cotton candy, popcorn, and a hint of something spicy. Children ran past with bright faces, their joy infectious. It was hard not to be swept up in the excitement, but Lucy remained anchored to the ground by her worries. In the heart of the festival, under the glowing string lights, Lucy saw her. Echo was standing there beside a booth, laughing with a group of friends, her black hair loosely cascading over her shoulders. She radiated a warmth and confidence that struck Lucy like a bolt of lightning. Mom, this is Echo, Jake said, positioning himself between them as if he were bridging two worlds. Echo turned towards them, her eyes sparkling as they landed on Lucy. There was a moment of stillness where everything seemed to hold its breath. Lucy's heart raced. This was the moment of truth. Who was this girl that had captured her son's heart? Hi, Miss Campbell, Echo said, her voice clear and steady. "I've heard so much about you." "Just Lucy, please," she replied with a nervous smile, trying to mirror Echo's confidence. The girl's presence shimmered with a kind of strength that both intimidated and intrigued her. "Okay, Lucy," Echo said, warming up quickly. "Jake talks about you all the time. You're kind of a big deal to him." A shy laugh escaped Lucy, and she felt her heart ease just a little more. "I hope it's all good things." "Only the best," Jake cut in, grinning wide. Echo reached out to shake Lucy's hand, and as their fingers briefly intertwined, Lucy felt an inexplicable warmth flow between them. This girl was brave, just like Jake had said. The small talk started easy. Questions about school, interests, and favorite movies. But the laughter didn't last long. Just as Lucy began to feel a small connection to Echo, the mood shifted abruptly. From the corner of her eye, she noticed a couple of Jake's classmates approaching, their smirks hinting at something she wasn't privy to. "Hey Jake, isn't that your mom?" one shouted, laughter echoing harshly. "You must be desperate to show her off." A cold chill wrapped around Lucy. Jake stiffened, glancing first at the approaching group, then back at Echo, who schooled her expression into neutrality. "Let us just go somewhere else," Jake suggested, visibly tense. But the damage was done. Lucy could sense the weight of judgment thickening the air around them. As they stepped away, Lucy's heart sank. Would this encounter mark the beginning of a bridge or a wall? Echo's dignity and Jake's hope flickered before her like the dimming festival lights. "What just happened?" Lucy whispered, her head spinning. Jake looked at her, uncertainty etched into his features. It's high school. But Lucy knew it was deeper than that. Was she really ready for the complications that lay ahead? And how much more would Jake have to endure to keep his love alive? With unresolved feelings swirling in her chest, she realized this moment was just the beginning. What other challenges awaited them as they navigated love and acceptance? Who else would judge or question their choices? Jake's hand slipped into hers again, but now it felt fragile, like a thin strand of hope in a storm. Only time would tell what would bloom from this difficult first meeting. The air was thick with the sense of sweet treats and roasted nuts, but Lucy found it hard to breathe. Her heart thudded as she and Jake made their way through the festival, trying to find a quieter corner away from the taunts. The laughter from the crowd felt distant, almost mocking now. "Are you okay?" Jake's voice broke through her thoughts, concern etched on his face. Lucy forced a smile, but it crumbled at the edges. "I didn't want that. I thought maybe this would be different." Jake ran a hand through his hair, frustration mixing with his own disappointment. "They don't understand. Just give it time. You both just met." But those words felt hollow to Lucy. Echo seemed real, bright and full of life. How could they already be facing judgment? "What if they never understand?" she said, her tone heavy with worry. As they skirted a booth collecting stuffed animals, Lucy caught a glimpse of Echo in the distance. The girl was laughing, her friends surrounding her, seemingly untouched by the earlier encounter. For a moment Lucy envied that carefree smile. It reminded her of when Jake was younger, running around the fair with pure joy before the weight of the world tried to crash down on him. "Maybe we should just go home," Lucy suggested, feeling the ground beneath her shake with uncertainty. Could she really step into this new world if it came with barriers? "No." Jake's voice was firm, insistent. "You can't just give up. Echo's important to me. You have to see that." His words sparked something inside her. Wasn't she being the very thing she feared? Defensive, judging, ready to pull back at the first hint of trouble? She took a breath, slowly exhaling the tension that had gripped her heart. "You're right. I just need a moment." Before she could finish her thought, Echo appeared beside them, her smile radiant and warm. "Hey you two," she said, her energy like a magnet, pulling Lucy out of her spiral. "I'm so glad you're here." Jake straightened, visibly relaxing at the sight of her. "Echo, we were just catching a breather." Echo nodded, her eyes darting between them. "Would you like to join us? We were going to get some caramel apples." Lucy glanced at Jake, who was practically glowing now. The boy who had been nervous only moments ago looked alive with hope. "I would love to," Lucy said, her words surprising even herself. "I mean, if you don't mind or if your friends don't mind." "Of course. They're just fun to hang out with," Echo reassured, her voice light. "They can be a bit loud, but trust me, they have good hearts. You'll like them." Jake squeezed her hand tightly, And in that instant Lucy felt a flicker of determination. Maybe the encounter wouldn't be as fraught with danger as she imagined. Maybe there was a chance for connection, for understanding, for acceptance. As they walked over, Lucy was aware of the watchful gazes of Echo's friends, their laughter bubbling like a brook. Instead of feeling like an outsider, she focused on the warmth Jake radiated, the excitement still brimming in his eyes. "Mom, Echo is amazing," he whispered under his breath, a little too excitedly. "You're going to love her." As they joined the group, Lucy took a deep breath, letting the festival energy envelop her. One step at a time, she reminded herself. She was ready to embrace whatever this journey brought forth. But just then, Lucy noticed a familiar face lurking at the edge of the crowd, a figure she hadn't expected to see. Her heart raced. What if it was someone who would judge, someone who might disrupt this fragile moment? "Who is that?" she mumbled, a knot retying itself in her stomach. Jake followed her gaze, his expression shifting. "I don't know, I think it's someone from my past." "What do you mean?" Something in his tone told her there was more to it than just a casual acquaintance. Jake's eyes narrowed, concern pooling in them. "Let us just see what happens." Every nerve in Lucy's body buzzed. This was not just about Echo anymore. Shadows from the past were creeping in, threatening to disrupt what they were starting to build. Would it be another layer of judgment, or a chance to clear the air? As the night air thickened with unanswered questions, Lucy clutched Jake's hand tighter, ready to face whatever came next. The moment stretched, a taut wire ready to snap. Lucy's heart raced, fears and anxieties battling for dominance. She watched as the figure moved closer, the crowd shifting like the tide. It was a familiar face, one that should have brought comfort but instead sent chills down her spine. "Jake, who is it?" she whispered urgently, her voice barely audible above the chatter and laughter of the festival. Jake's gaze remained fixed on the newcomer, his mouth a thin line. "Just don't worry. It's complicated." That vague reply had them both on edge. As the person drew nearer, details became clearer: a familiar hairstyle, the subtle swagger of confidence. Lucy's stomach twisted when she recognized Ryan, Jake's former best friend. The last time Lucy had seen Ryan, it had been during a heated argument they'd all had over a miscommunication that shattered their friendship. "Jake," Ryan called out, breaking through the laughter of the festivities. His voice was cheerful, but Lucy could detect a hint of uncertainty. "I didn't expect to see you here." Jake didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stood there transfixed as Ryan approached them. A tension crackled in the air, reminding Lucy of a balloon on the verge of bursting. She could feel her various worries colliding. Would Ryan judge their connection? Would he speak ill of Echo? "Hey buddy," Ryan said, throwing an arm around Jake, pulling him in for a side hug. "Almost didn't recognize you. Looks like you're having fun." The laughter of Echo's friends faded into a hush. All eyes turned to the trio, an unspoken tension weaving through the group. Lucy's heart sank as she considered the inevitable questions, the potential judgments. "Yeah, I am." Jake's voice was losing its confidence, rising to a pitch Lucy knew meant he was uncomfortable. Ryan's gaze shifted to Lucy, his brow furrowing momentarily. "And you are?" he asked. There was no warmth in his tone, only an examination. I'm Lucy, Jake's mom," she replied, determination creeping back into her voice. She forced herself to meet Ryan's gaze directly, hoping to convey strength amidst her rising insecurities. "A little young to be a mom, aren't you?" Ryan smirked, crossing his arms. It was the type of dig intended to make others feel small, to reignite insecurities. Before Lucy could respond, Jake jumped in. "Ryan, that's not cool. We're just trying to enjoy the festival." His voice was more assertive than before, and that gave Lucy a sense of courage. Echo chimed in, her tone disarming. "Let us not make this awkward. We were about to get caramel apples. Everyone loves those, right?" Her infectious smile softened the atmosphere, but Lucy still felt the tension thickening like fog. Ryan shrugged it off, but Lucy could see the flicker of interest in his eyes. "Sounds fun. Mind if I join?" Jake exchanged a glance with Lucy, and in that silent moment, Lucy knew they had a choice. She could feel her instincts screaming to retreat, to shelter Jake from potential hurt. But also this was a chance for Jake to face his past, to be strong. "Sure," she said slowly, her resolve hardening. "The more the merrier." As they walked toward the food stall, the crowd vibrated with energy around them. Lucy focused on Echo, who was cracking jokes and nudging Jake to loosen up. But Ryan kept pace, stirring memories and emotions she hadn't wanted to confront. "Jake," Ryan said lightly, his voice suddenly more serious. "I thought you weren't talking to me anymore." "That was before things changed," Jake replied. There was an uncharted territory in his words. A door half open for potentially uncomfortable conversations. In that moment, Lucy held her breath, bracing for the fallout. What would Ryan's presence really mean for them? The smell of caramel coated the air, but Lucy could only taste uncertainty. Would this reunion bring healing or more friction? And in the midst of it all, she realized she wasn't just here for Jake. She was here to discover her own strength too. As they approached the stand, her heart raced, and she couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. But how? "Mom," Jake murmured, nudging her with his elbow. "Just relax. We've got this." Lucy nodded, her heart swelling. But as she turned back to Ryan, ready to face whatever question was coming next, she wondered if they truly did. How many secrets could surface tonight, and at what cost? The wave of chatter swelled around them, a sea of unfamiliar voices and laughter, but Lucy felt like she was sinking beneath it all. Each step toward the caramel apple stand felt heavy with the weight of words unsaid, history unspoken. She sensed the investigation in Ryan's gaze, the underlying tension thickening the air. "Speak of the devil," Ryan's voice broke through her thoughts. "I didn't think you were still in town, Echo." Echo turned with an exaggerated gasp, her grin wide. "Surprise. I came to shake things up." "You got a problem with that?" Ryan chuckled, but it lacked warmth. "Not at all. Glad you're here." His response felt half-hearted, as if a part of him was somewhere else, lost in the shadows of old grievances. Lucy felt Jake tensely hold her hand tighter. The warmth of his grip anchored her, but the chill from Ryan's presence still seeped through. As they approached the bustling stall, she tried to focus on the tantalizing smell of caramel, but knew she had to brace herself for the conversation that was unfurling like a storm on the horizon. "Ah, there it is," Echo exclaimed, pointing to the colorful display of caramel apples. "Let us load up on those. They make everything better." "Let us just get the apples, all right?" Jake said sharply, catching Lucy's eye with a worried look. She nodded, trying to share her positive energy, pretending to be unfazed by Ryan's presence. "What's your favorite?" Ryan asked Jake, his voice light, but Lucy could see the underlying scrutiny in his eyes. "I like the classic one," Jake replied, his voice gaining strength as he watched Echo enthusiastically examining the options. "Caramel with a little sea salt." "Of course," Ryan said with a roll of his eyes, quickly masking that he knew Jake's choice all too well. "You always were basic." Jake replied, unfazed. He turned to the vendor as he placed his order, taking a breath. Lucy could see him intentionally shifting the focus away from Ryan, trying to create space where none existed. "Wait, what happened between the two of you?" Echo interrupted, her voice bubbling with curiosity. "I mean, it's been ages. You were practically joined at the hip." Ryan's expression darkened, slipping out of his earlier jovial demeanor. "Things change, right? Life's complicated." Jake shifted his weight, a clear sign of discomfort. Lucy could feel his tension, the way he was drawing into himself like a turtle retreating into its shell. She wanted to pull him out of this mess, make everything okay, but she knew that wouldn't help him grow. "Maybe it's time to uncomplicate things?" she suggested lightly, attempting to redirect the conversation back toward the festival's celebratory spirit. Ryan stepped back, leaning against the stall, his arms crossed. "That's easy for you to say, Lucy. You don't know what it's like." "True. But I know complexities don't have to be catastrophic," she countered, feeling a surge of bravery. "You really can choose how to deal with them." Ryan looked surprised, but then a small smile crept onto his face, almost mocking. "Touché. Maybe you'd be good at advice columns." Before Lucy could respond, Jake stepped between them, his tone low but firm. "Guys, let us focus on the apples. Can we leave the past where it belongs?" A brief silence fell over them, thick with unspoken words. Ryan shrugged, but Lucy could see the internal struggle etched on his face. "Sure, whatever you say. I just didn't think you'd pull away from everything so easily." As if on cue, the vendor handed Jake shiny caramel apples, the warm sweet scent enveloping them. Swallowing hard, Lucy hoped that the apples could somehow sweeten this bitter tension. Just as they took their first bites, Lucy felt the prickle of eyes on them. A neighboring group at the stand was whispering, side-eyeing Ryan then glancing back at them. Lucy could sense the brewing storm in Ryan's expression. "Hold up, are you with him?" Ryan asked incredulously, his tone shifting sharply. "You seriously think you can just move on?" The question hung in the air, laden with unspoken implications. Lucy turned to Jake, sensing the unsteady ground beneath them. Jake's face paled, but the fire in his eyes told her he was done retreating. "Yes, I am," he declared, confidence flaring like a spark. Lucy's heart soared. Even in the tumult he was standing tall. But would Ryan accept that truth, or was the storm about to explode? Lucy clenched her jaw, fear rising. What was Ryan prepared to unleash next? How did they move forward from here? As Jake braced himself, Lucy couldn't help but wonder just how complicated this festival night would truly become. The crowd buzzed with laughter and excitement, but suddenly, the joy of the festival felt distant, like echoes of a laugh fading into silence. Lucy could almost feel the temperature dropping as Ryan's words landed heavily in the air. She sensed the tension swirling around them, full of uncertainty and unfulfilled expectations. "Excuse me?" Ryan's eyes were wide, disbelief etched across his face. "You think you can just date Jake without everyone knowing?" Jake's jaw clenched. "It's not just about everyone knowing, Ryan. It's our choice. We didn't owe anyone a public announcement." Echo stepped up beside Ryan, her interest piqued. "So you guys have been sneaking around, huh? A little bit scandalous." "It's not like that." Jake snapped, clearly frustrated. He shot Lucy a look, one that said he needed her support. But she wouldn't allow this to spiral out of control. "Can't we just enjoy the apples?" Lucy burst out, the caramel apple already half devoured in her hand. She channeled the sweetness, trying to sprinkle some levity over the heavy moment. "Life is too short for this nonsense, right?" But Ryan remained unconvinced, and his demeanor shifted. He looked at Jake, searching his eyes for something approval, perhaps, or an apology. "You think this is just some fling?" he asked, his tone cutting. "Do you even know what you're doing?" Lucy held her breath, the weight of every word pressing down on her. Jake's eyes flared to life, filled with anger and hurt. "I do know, Ryan. And it's more than just a fling. I cared about you too, but you shut me out. You have no right to act all high and mighty." Ryan's expression faltered, a brief flicker of vulnerability flashing in his eyes before he recoiled. "You don't get to blame me for your choices now. You made your bed when you walked away." "Both of you stop," Lucy interjected, her voice firm. She could feel the frustration bubbling inside her. "This isn't helping anyone. You're both stuck in the past, and it's ruining the moment." Echo stood silent, shifting her gaze between the two boys. In that instant her expression changed, seemingly pondering the real impact of Ryan's words. The fun-loving spirit she brought with her felt like it had dimmed under the weight of unresolved issues. Jake turned to Lucy, his brow furrowing. "Maybe we should just leave," his voice suggested defeat, but Lucy wouldn't let it end like this. "No," she declared, brushing her hair from her eyes. "We came here to have fun, to enjoy this night. And that's what we'll do." Lucy reached for Jake's hand, squeezing it tight, and this small gesture sent a wave of reassurance through him. She then turned to Ryan, her eyes softening. "I know things are complicated, Ryan, but maybe it's time to let go of the anger?" Ryan looked at her, the tension slowly unwinding from his jaw. "I get it. But it hurts, you know? Seeing you moving on like it was all so easy." The raw honesty of his statement caught Lucy off guard. For a moment she caught a glimpse of the boy he used to be, vulnerable, scared, and terribly human. "It might not be easy for any of us," she replied gently, "but it doesn't mean we can't start fresh." Echo nodded slightly, finally breaking her silence. "Look guys, do you remember how fun this festival was? Let us wipe the slate clean, enjoy the night, even if it's uncomfortable." As tension cracked like a spider's web stretching under pressure, Lucy found hope. Maybe they could heal, maybe they could move beyond their tangled pasts. Ryan's gaze softened, if just slightly. "Okay, let us just find a quiet spot, grab those apples and try to enjoy the evening." He stepped back, visibly unclenching. Lucy took a breath. There was still a long way to go, but they were taking the first steps. But before they could even savor that thought, a loud commotion erupted nearby. A figure was approaching, and with him came a storm of whispers and pointed fingers. "Wait, is that?" Jake started, his voice trailing off as they turned to face the unexpected interruption. Lucy's heart raced. Who could be the wild card crashing their fragile truce? The murmurs swirled in the crowd, rising to a crescendo as the figure drew nearer. Lucy squinted, heart pounding, trying to make sense of the scene unfolding before her. It wasn't just any person. It was Jake's mother, Grace, her arms wide open and a beaming smile plastered on her face, seemingly unaware of the tension that just marked the evening. "Jake," she called out, her voice filled with unrestrained joy. "There you are. I was worried I'd miss you." Jake's expression shifted from surprise to horror in an instant. "Mom, wait," he shouted, but it was too late. Grace had already wove through the gathering crowd, pulling Jake into an enthusiastic embrace. Lucy felt a familiar knot settling in her stomach, the kind of knot that warned her that secrets would soon surface. "Oh, look at you. I've missed my boy," Grace exclaimed, stepping back for just a moment to admire her son, as if he were something she'd just finished creating. But her near euphoric state didn't seem to be shared by Jake, whose cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Ryan shifted awkwardly beside Lucy, his eyes betraying a mixture of envy and annoyance. "What is she doing here?" he hissed, clearly unsettled by this unexpected twist. Lucy squeezed Jake's hand tighter. She wanted to scream, tell Grace that this was not the moment for joyous family reunions. "Jake, we should go," she whispered urgently. "This is crazy," Jake replied, shaking his head but not moving away from his mother. Grace didn't miss anything, glancing over at Lucy and Ryan as if finally noticing the tension. "Oh, and look who you've brought. How lovely to see you both." She waved cheerily, unfazed by the razor-thin mood hanging heavy in the air. "Mom, can we talk?" Jake finally managed to pry himself away. "In private?" Lucy could see the conflict in Jake's eyes, the chaos of emotions swirling just beneath the surface. But before he could utter another word, Grace interjected with a laugh. "Private? Oh honey, there are no secrets between me and you." Actually, Ryan had stepped forward, his voice rising defensively. "He does have some secrets right now." That propelled Grace into full-on mother-hen mode. She didn't even seem to register Ryan's pointed remark. "Secrets? Oh sweetheart, come here." She enveloped Jake in another hug, this one more suffocating than the last. Lucy's mind raced. She could feel the warmth draining from the festival air. Something was not right. She noticed Echo in the background, rolling her eyes, trying to keep the situation calm. "Jake, listen," Lucy prompted, desperation creeping into her tone. "Maybe we should just go get those apples now." Her vision darted between Jake and his mother, trying to gauge how he truly felt about this sudden invasion. But before Jake could respond, Grace blurted out, "How about we celebrate tonight? It's high time you introduced me to your special someone." The laughter bubbled over once again from the crowd, misplaced joy mingling with the tension that hung around them. Jake's face paled. "Mom, it's not no need to be shy. I want to meet her," Grace exclaimed, her voice cutting through Jake's protests like a hot knife through butter. Lucy's breath hitched. The look of mortification plastered across Jake's face made her heart ache for him. This wasn't happening. Not now. Not like this. Before she could respond, Jake shifted his gaze to Lucy, searching her eyes as if trying to find a way out. It was painfully clear that the weight of his mother's expectations was something he hadn't anticipated. And just when it seemed like they might break through to a moment of clarity, one of Grace's friends called out, "Honey, what do you mean her? Aren't you seeing someone?" In that moment, Lucy felt the earth tilt beneath her. The crowd started murmuring again, the intrigue peaking. She realized that Jake was caught, trapped between two worlds, his past and the future he was trying to build. Lucy took a deep breath, preparing to speak up again when a nagging thought flickered in her mind. But what if things weren't supposed to be this simple? Jake, her voice trailed off with uncertainty. There was so much at stake. Suddenly, the crowd was buzzing louder with curiosity as they turned to look at Lucy, waiting for her to speak. The atmosphere thickened, tension hanging in the air like a taut string about to snap. How could they possibly navigate this delicate moment with all eyes on them? And what if the revelation about their relationship, much more than just a hidden romance, was drawing dangerously close? The festival lights twinkled brightly overhead, but all Lucy could see was the shadow of doubt creeping in. The tension in the air was palpable, fingers from the crowd reaching out, trying to pull at the strings of the truth without knowing what it might unleash. Lucy's heart raced as she felt Jake's gaze still locked on her, a silent plea wrapped in confusion and fear. "Don't," he mouthed, but Lucy wasn't sure if she could comply. Instead, she shook her head ever so slightly, trying to convey to him that she would do whatever it took to protect them both from this moment. Yet the crowd was already swelling with curiosity, their whispers like the wind brushing against the trees, stirring more chaos than Lucy could handle. Grace, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath her jovial exterior, launched into a story of her own. "You've been so shy about your love life. I remember when we finally told Grandma I was dating your father. It was such a thrill." She laughed, her voice overflowing with nostalgia, while she twirled a loose strand of hair in her fingers. Each word landed heavily on Jake's shoulders. "Mom, please stop," Jake said, his voice rising defensively as he stepped away from her embrace, the warmth feeling unwelcome now. "It's not like that." Lucy could see Grace's smile falter for a brief moment. The bright colors of the festival lights flickered above them, casting shadows across Grace's face that suddenly made her look older, worn down by the unending pursuit of happiness. But before she could grasp what just happened, Grace's banter continued. "Oh, sweetheart, don't be silly. I've been waiting to meet this lovely girl forever." Lucy took a deep breath, the weight of her own heart's decision weighing heavily on her lungs. She could feel every eye in the crowd bore into her, judging, speculating. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, Ryan interjected. "Besides, everyone knows Jake is well, complicated," he said, letting the word complicated linger in the air with a sense of accusation, leaving everyone to draw their conclusions. "Complicated?" Grace echoed, tilting her head like a confused puppy. "What do you mean, Ryan? You all have such a mystery, but if Jake loves someone, he should share that love." Jake pinched the bridge of his nose, a telltale sign of mounting frustration. He gritted his teeth. "Can we not discuss this here?" He turned to the crowd, the raw emotion spilling from him, desperate for understanding. But instead of backing off, the crowd leaned in closer, curiosity spreading like a wildfire in dry grass. Lucy fought the urge to hide. Instead, she raised her chin, grounding herself as she caught Jake's pleading gaze. "Jake, it's okay. We can figure this out together," she whispered, feeling the warmth of their unspoken bond radiate between them. He swallowed hard, shifting his attention back to his mother. "I didn't think this would happen tonight." Grace stepped closer, her expression shifting from confusion to concern. "I just want you to be happy, dear. Is she the one you've been keeping a secret?" "Mom, it's not," he started, exhaling deeply, as if he were releasing hundreds of tangled threads that made up their relationship. He seemed on the verge of confession, standing at the edge of a precipice waiting for clarity. But the crowd's murmurs escalated, buzzing like an angry hive. Twinkling lights became blinding reflections of uncertain futures, and jagged emotions sliced through Lucy's core. She wanted to shout what they had together, how it felt to be seen, to breathe in the moments that made life vibrate with joy, a joy too sacred to be dragged out in the open like this. Suddenly, Jake turned to her again, the crack in his resolve wider than ever. "Lucy, will you?" Just before he could finish, Grace interrupted, her voice rising with excitement. "Come on now. Just tell us, Jake. Don't leave us in suspense." Lucy felt her heart drop. Was she really ready to stand in the spotlight with all of this pressure bearing down? What if they took a step forward, only to falter the first time they tried to lift the veil on their hidden happiness? As the crowd leaned in, anxious and eager, the air thickened, and once again, Lucy felt the knot tighten in her stomach. Just then, with the weight of ill-timed revelations hanging overhead, she turned, finding the strength to face the chaos. This was no longer just about secrets. It was about choosing to embrace the future. "Jake, I think it's time to make a choice." The silence fell, leaving only the sound of their mingled breaths, poised at the edge of truth. How far could they reach, and was this moment really just the beginning of something bigger? As Lucy stood in the vibrant chaos of the Maplewood Festival, the laughter and excitement felt like an ocean tide, pushing against her resolve. The question hung in the air, a heavy weight that felt like more than just an echo of Jake's mother's eager words. It demanded a decision, and Lucy's chest tightened with the intensity of it all. "Jake, I think it's time to make a choice." Her heart raced as she turned to him, searching his eyes for clarity amid the confusion. The crowd buzzed around them like a hive of bees. All those curious faces, filled with expectations and whispers swirling in the air, felt suffocating. Jake's expression was a mixture of fear and determination, the kind she recognized from their deepest conversations, when his barriers fell away. "I know it's messy, Mom," he said, standing taller, his voice a little steadier despite the trembling of emotions. "But love isn't supposed to be easy, supposed to challenge us and make us grow." Lucy marveled at the way he had transformed before her eyes, the boy stepping boldly into the man he was destined to be. She could see the reflection of his heart shining through the truth he had hidden, the love he cherished. Tears pooled in her eyes, blurring her vision as warmth spread throughout her being. "Yes, it's true that love is complicated," she admitted, her voice firm yet soft. "But it's also beautiful, just like the connection you and Echo share." She felt herself let go of the tight grip of judgment and fear, realizing that love doesn't hinge on the status of one's family, but rather on one's character and kindness. Jake's eyes widened, newfound hope flickering in them. "Then I need you to see it, to understand it. This is who I am now. A part of me is always going to love you, but I love her too." "Exactly," Grace chimed in, her face beaming with a strange kind of warmth now that the room had shifted away from tension. "You've grown up, Jake. It's time I recognized that." Lucy took a step back, almost overwhelmed. Could this really be happening? The little boy she had raised was standing there, speaking of love with tenacity, while his mother was showing growth too. "Echo, let us hear from you," Grace said suddenly, addressing the girl standing quietly beside them. There was wisdom in the way she held herself. Lucy could sense she had something to say. Echo took a deep breath, a calm confidence sweeping over her. "Thank you for letting me be here tonight. I admire Jake's courage, and regardless of my background, love taught me that our hearts can lead the way. I hope to show you that I'm here for Jake, no matter how complicated things can get." The words struck like a chord, reverberating through the crowd. Lucy felt something shift in her heart as she looked into Echo's eyes, a reflection of her own vulnerability. This was a girl who wanted acceptance, who was willing to face the judgments, and who genuinely cared for her son. Suddenly, the crowd's whispers turned into a chorus of support. "We're here for you. Love wins. Let us celebrate." The voices echoed, creating a wave of understanding that washed over the tension. Lucy turned to Jake again, her heart swelling with pride. He was part of a new movement, one where love was redefining stereotypes and challenging boundaries. This wasn't just a small-town revelation. It was a ripple that promised to inspire others to take on their own battles. And in that moment she realized, the details of Echo's life didn't define her worth. Their backgrounds were different, yes, but they shared a common goal: to love fiercely, to embrace life even when it was hard. "I see it now," Lucy said, her voice a soft and loving embrace. "I see you both. Together." Jake smiled, the weight of their fear dissipating. He stepped closer to Echo, and their fingers intertwined effortlessly, illuminating their bond under the festival lights. As Grace nodded in approval, Lucy felt the shadows of doubt dissolve into the celebration around them. "You've made your choice, Jake," she said, her heart wide open. "And I'm proud of you for standing your ground. We will figure this out as a family together." With that, the festival erupted into cheers, laughter ringing through the air as if the universe itself was celebrating their truth. The burdens they carried felt lighter now, lifting like balloons in the wind. Lucy squeezed Jake's hand, feeling the warmth of unity strengthen their bond. This was new territory, but with each heartbeat, they were moving closer to their vision for the future. As the lights twinkled above, weaving a tapestry of hope and happiness, Lucy finally felt free. The path ahead wouldn't always be easy, but love, real, raw love, was worth fighting for. Now she knew her journey had just begun, but they were ready to face it all. And that felt like the most beautiful beginning. Don't forget, you need to subscribe now to stay updated with these exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And please share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to support the channel. Only true fans understand how important this is.